We're waving them away to their new appointment. And my message this morning is with them in mind that it is relevant to everyone. So in the familiar passage of scripture that we heard earlier, Jesus had been questioned about who is to be considered our neighbour. And in response, Jesus told the parable of the Good Samaritan. Everyone knows it. And I know it's a parable, and the characters that Jesus spoke about are not actual people, but today I want to explore this from a different approach. And there are 7 characters in this parable. So there's the man travelling from Jerusalem to Jericho, who we will refer to as the victim. The robbers, we'll count them as one. The priest, the Levite, the Samaritan, the donkey, and the innkeeper. So there's the characters. Then they each have their own story and their reasons for what they did. We just don't always see it. The victim, our traveller heading in the direction of Jericho from Jerusalem, had a really rough time with it. Now, steady pace would take 7 or 8 hours to walk. Now, it's possible that he may have had an ass or a donkey to help him, which the robbers would probably have pinched as well. So was he a businessman journeying for professional reasons? Maybe he was going to visit family or on his way home. But whatever the reason he was travelling, whatever the reason he was there in that spot, he was beaten, stripped, and left for dead. The priest who walked by, what was his story? He could have been running late for an appointment. He may not have seen the victim because he may have been preoccupied. Maybe he was worried that he didn't know what to do to help, or assumed that the victim was dead and beyond help. Could it be that the reason he passed was not because he didn't want to help, but that he didn't know how? The Levite who walked by, maybe he was the priest's assistant trying to catch up. And if he noticed the victim lying there, it may have given him a dilemma. Do I stop and help and be later still, or should I prioritise getting to my destination? What would be the worst outcome for him? The Samaritan seems the good guy in the story. He checks to see if the victim is still alive and then does all he can to help. It may have been a struggle to lift him, but he manages to get him onto the donkey. He considers what to do next. He may have considered walking by like the others, but he chose to help. And he uses his own time and resources to help a total stranger, not to mention delaying him his own journey. And let's not forget the donkey. He had to carry the weight as he always did, go where his master led him. How long had the donkey and his owner been on the road for? Did he really want to bear that burden? What motivated the innkeeper? Was it payment from the Samaritan? I assume it was enough to fulfill the contract the Samaritan had made with him, to nurse a stranger back to health at someone else's expense, even though there was a promise of more funds was needed. I'm sure he would have made a profit, but it wasn't his normal job role. And finally, the robbers. Was it evil intent and greed that led them to their crime, or was it simply desperation that they had nothing themselves? People react differently when they're desperate. They act out of character. Now, the reason I have explored the angles of these characters is that as core officers, you will have seen examples of each of these during your time here at varying levels. The victim, beaten and scarred mentally, emotionally, and sometimes physically through illness or addiction. The priest-type person who walks away unable to help because they don't know how or don't have the time to notice. The Levite-type person too much in a hurry, never keeping still, never stopping. The Samaritan-type person who will help anyone and everyone no matter what the cost. The donkey who carries all the weight, does the heavy stuff, never complains. The innkeeper-type person who will do all he is asked when recompensed. And the desperate one crossing the line. And I know that you will continue to see people like that in your new appointment. But I also think that at times you have been and will be some of those characters yourselves. Hear me out. You could be the victim when you're dealing with oppressive characters and feel dejected and defeated. You could be the priest that has to walk away because people don't want to be helped. You have to be the Levite when you need to be places at once. I guess you'll always be the Samaritan who does all they can to help. And you'll be the donkey who carries everything on their back. You'll be the innkeeper who receives all people at the door and invites them in. And maybe even you'll be the desperate ones when you have to do things that go against the grain because there's no other option. Please remember that in each of these situations, God has been and always will be with you. Keep marching. Keep believing. Stay faithful. And that goes for everyone else. No matter who stands up here in this poor officer, now, next 5 years, 20, 30 years, we need to keep marching. We need to keep believing. We need to stay faithful. We could be any one of those characters at any particular time. Rodney and Lillian, you've been a source of strength to me, as well as everyone else here. You've seen me at my best, and you've seen me at my worst. And you've always been there. Our loss is Leighton Buzzard's day. Reluctantly we release you. Go in faith to continue to love and serve the Lord, doing what you always have done. And from me, from the bottom of my heart, thank you.